Hello everyone, a very good morning to you. This is Rachel live from Kalkine Studios and you're watching the Early Trades. In this show we'll share with you a glimpse of the Australian share market opening trade scenario along with the global and domestic drivers triggering market momentum. In the first segment of the show we'll take a look at how early morning trades panned out, taking cues from the Wall Street action overnight. Next we'll zoom our lens on the sector movements on the Australian Stock Exchange. Then in the last segment we'll look at prominent newsmakers on the board. The Australian share market opened lower this morning following a weak trade on Wall Street. US shares fell from record highs overnight while bond yields touched record lows. That's following concerns over Chinese stock market sell-off. Also, the Federal Reserve's monetary policy meeting and economic growth. The Dow Jones fell 0.25%, the S&P 500 slipped 0.5%, and the Nasdaq declined 1.2%. US investors traded on a cautious note as they await the Fed's policy statement. The two-day meeting began on Tuesday. Investors will be closely analysing the statement by Fed Chair Jerome Powell later today to take cues on inflation, economic growth and interest rates. The Fed could also throw hints on whether it would be cutting down its purchases of government bonds. On the other hand, concerns over the fast-spreading Delta variant coronavirus negatively impacted the global economic recovery. They've continued to thwart global investors. The deepening sell-off in Chinese markets spread to the bond and currency markets yesterday, following a widening of concerns over the impact of a recent tightening of regulations by the local government. The dollar index fell 0.17%. That's as investors shunned big bets before Powell's remarks. The Australian and New Zealand dollars traded cautiously yesterday as traders awaited the Fed policy outcome. Meanwhile, the yield on 10-year Treasury notes was down at 1.24%, keeping up with a muted mood of the markets. Over to the crypto space, Bitcoin held below $40,000 after Amazon.com pushed back against speculation it will accept the token for payments this year. Let us now skim through the opening trades of the ASX 200. The bottom performing stocks in this index were gold company St Barbara, global leader in low-cost nickel production, Nickel Mines, and mining services company Mineral Resources. Buy now, pay later juggernaut Afterpay shares slipped, as did online bookmaker PointsBet. Meanwhile, investment fund manager Spark Infrastructure was the leading gainer on the board as the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan Board and Kohlberg Kravis Roberts Infrastructure Fund have increased their bid for Spark Infrastructure for a second time. Shares in carmaker Eagers Automotive also surged on flagging record operating profit. Shares in California-based medical equipment company ResMed and also cloud-based logistics software solutions provider WiseTech Global also climbed up the charts. Moving on to our next segment now, let us glance through the ASX sectoral charter. The IT sector was the major dragger. Technology players Afterpay and Appen were the leading losers on the board, while we saw how benchmark US indices drifted from their recent gains on Tuesday, dragged down by tech stocks. Australian energy players Beach Energy, Santos and Woodside Petroleum traded in the red zone during the early trade hours amid an oil price downtick. Brent futures slipped 0.3%, while US West Texas Intermediate crude fell 0.4%. Crude oil gave up earlier gains as investors were concerned over the rising coronavirus cases, even as supplies were expected to remain tightened going forward. Traders also awaited the release of the US inventory data. Another major sector that pulled down the strings of the ASX 200, shares in heavyweight miners of the BHP Group, Rio Tinto and Fortescue Metals tracked lower amid an uptick in the iron ore prices on concerns over supply of the steelmaking inputs in China. The most traded coke for September delivery on China's Dalian commodity exchange ended up 1.2%. The commodity traded higher in the yellow metal space. Evolution Mining and Gold Road Resources, their shares all edged higher as weakness in the dollar and bond yields helped gold prices to remain firm near the key level on Tuesday. On the other hand, real estate, utilities and the healthcare sector gains capped the overall losses of the share market. Now it's time for a short break, but stay tuned. I'll be back very soon with some more updates on the Australian share market.
Tune in to stay updated while on the move.
We will tell you where the crypto craze has reached,
Where the property market is headed next.
what the world is doing to become more environmentally friendly.
Apart from tracking the daily market charter.
Be on top of the latest news and announcements.
With Kalkine TV.
A very warm welcome back. I'm Rachel and this is your host live from Kalkine Studios. You're watching The Early Trades. Moving on to our last segment of the show now, let us look at some quick highlights of the prominent ASX stocks under the spotlight during the early trades. To begin with, Rio Tinto shares slipped on the board amid UK disclosure rules investigation. The miner faces an investigation by the Financial Court Authority in the UK for an alleged breach of listing rules regarding the disclosure around the value of its Oyu Tolgoi copper mine in Mongolia. Shares in Australian gold miner The Independence Group slid on June quarterly results. The company has posted a net profit of $453 million for the June quarter 2021, including the proceeds of $385 million received from the sale of its Tropicana mine, which is located in Western Australia. The underlying earnings before interest, taxes and depreciation and amortisation for the same period stood at $149 million. The company also stated that performance from its Nova operation has continued to impress, with full-year production ahead of guidance for all metals. The Nova project is also located in Western Australia. Next up, Life 360 soared on clocking a record annualized monthly revenue of $100 million for the June quarter. The information technology company also reported a cash balance of $50.8 million at the end of the June quarter, with a 15% increase in the monthly active users to 32.3 million. In addition to the financial milestones, Life 360 also reached number one in the App Store charts in more than 11 countries during the last quarter, driven by a viral surge in downloads from teens, primarily through a popular social media app called TikTok. Life 360 delivered a record quarter of monthly active users, ending the quarter with 32.3 million. Moving on to the next newsmaker under the spotlight now, Cashrewards. Their shares rose despite reporting annual operating loss of $15 million. The cash on hand at the end of the same period stood at $26.1 million on the back of a $50.5 capital raising. Next on the list is Australia's largest almond grower and processor, Select Harvests. They're under the spotlight amid a trading update. The company expects its crop volume for almonds to be higher in financial year 2021, also accompanied by an increase in the price. It's now looking forward to a strong financial year in 2022, supported by the benefits of the Piangil almond orchard acquisition. Select Harvests acquired Piangil back in January. The almond orchard is a high-yielding top quartile property located in Australia's Sunraysia growing region. That's all from me now for the early trades. Stay tuned with Kalkine TV as we have many more shows lined up for you, sharing live updates across the economy, markets and sectors. I'm Rachel, signing off for now.